The Cossack squat is a great exercise for developing strength and flexibility in our hips through a lateral plane of motion. But it's also an exercise that I see a lot of people struggle with, and it can be a tricky one for beginners if you don't have the right regressions and modifications. So in this video, I'm going to go over many different ways that we can modify the Cossack squat to create more accessible entry points for beginners and show you step by step how we can scale this exercise to advanced levels. So first things first, let's talk about the stance. I find that one of the best ways to find our wide stance for the Cossack squat is to use a 4-step horse stance setup. So starting with our feet close together, we're gonna kick our heels out, that's step 1. We're gonna kick our toes out, that's step 2. Then we go heels again and toes again to find this 4-step position. And we want to end up with our feet angled out approximately 30 degrees into external rotation so that as we go down into the squat, we feel like that knee is tracking forward over our toes. Now there's quite a few different options for how we can modify and regress this exercise to help us find more range of motion, but at the end of the day, they all serve a similar purpose, which is helping us manage our center of mass and keeping it shifted further forward over our forefoot. When first starting out with the Cossack squat, most of us lack the strength and mobility to coordinate our body through a balanced center of mass in this movement pattern. So what tends to happen when we lower into the squat is our center of mass shifts back into our heels, and then the lower we go, the more we feel like we're gonna lose our balance and fall back on our ass. Whereas if we can actively use our strength and mobility to maintain a more balanced center of mass over our forefoot, it will allow us to sink as deep into the position as our flexibility will allow. But at a beginner level, you may not have the strength or mobility to coordinate your center of mass in that end range position, and so this is where these modifications come into play. The first thing we can do to modify this exercise is set ourselves up with a heel elevation. Slant boards and squat wedges tend to work the best for this, but you can also rig something up with a plate or a yoga block as well. The reason why heel elevation is so effective is because it automatically shifts your weight forward into the forefoot without you having to think about anything. It will also reduce some of the ankle mobility demands of the exercise. If you're still struggling despite the heel elevation, or you just don't want to compromise on the ankle mobility aspect of the movement, we can also use our arms to help us keep our weight shifted further forward to maintain a more balanced center of mass. You'll notice when you see a lot of people performing a Cossack squat, they extend their arms in front of their body. And the reason that people do that is because the weight of your arms reaching forward helps provide a bit of a counterbalance to help keep our weight shifted forward onto the forefoot. But we can amplify the effect of this strategy by holding a light weight out at arm's length to increase the weight of the counterbalance if just our arms alone isn't enough for you. Another way we can use our arms to assist us is to hold onto a post or a door frame so that we can literally pull our weight further forward into the forefoot. Another option we do have, which can be quite helpful for beginners, is having our butt against a wall. By having our butt against a wall, it will help to keep our hips in position and act as a blocker to prevent our weight from shifting too far back so that we can move deeper into the squatting leg. If you are using a wall for extra assistance, we just want to make sure that we're keeping our back off the wall and maintaining a more active position. If we still need to regress further, we can then look to a foot elevated Cossack squat setup. This is going to greatly reduce the flexibility demands of the movement, particularly on our extended leg. When it comes to regressing the Cossack squat, we can use any of these 4 modifications that work for us, and we can even combine them together as needed. For example, you can use a heel elevation and arm assistance at the same time. You can also use a heel elevation and arm assistance while also using assistance from a wall. If needed, you can even use all of these modifications put together at once. The point is that you should experiment with all of those different regressions to see what feels the best and what creates the best entry point for you to start at. Now, just to quickly go over a few form cues, we want our knee tracking over our foot in the squatting leg. We're keeping our opposite leg fully extended with the knee locked. And when it comes to your opposite foot, you can either rotate the toes up to the ceiling or keep the foot planted flat. I like to leave that up to your personal preference. We're going to be completing our entire set on one leg at a time instead of alternating sides every rep so that we can accumulate more unbroken time under tension per side. When it comes to progressing this exercise from a mobility standpoint, if you're using any of the regress modifications that I just showed, then our first goal is just simply to wean our way off of the assistance and get to a point where we can do a full depth Cossack squat from the floor with just our body weight. At a more advanced level, if we're looking to increase our range in this movement to take the mobility aspect to the next level, we can then start elevating the extended leg off the floor to find a greater stretch at the bottom of each rep. But if developing more strength through our full range of motion is the primary goal, then we'll want to start loading the exercise up once we've earned our stripes and we're able to do it without any modifications. The easiest way to start loading the Cossack squat is with front-loaded methods like a goblet squat position or a front-racked barbell position. At a more advanced level, we can look to load the exercise in a back squat position, which will not only challenge our strength and mobility, but also our skill and coordination in the movement to maintain a balanced center of mass. With this variation, we just want to make sure to find a low bar position to keep the bar off our cervical spine. Now, I know that was a lot to take in, but I wanted this video to be comprehensive enough that you feel like you're properly equipped to train the Cossack squat with confidence so that you can apply all the right intentions and start to actually make some improvements to it. As a general recommended prescription, I would advise you to perform 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps, holding the stretch for around 3 seconds at the bottom of every rep. This can work very well as prep work for compound movements like deadlifts or barbell back squats, or you can also treat it as an accessory to be done after your primary compound lifts. It can also be included as part of a side split or pancake split workout to open up the hips through a lateral plane of motion if you're interested in pursuing any of those flexibility goals. So hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, don't forget to drop a like and hit that subscribe button for more mobility content just like this.